Okay, there's a lot to go over here. What I'm going to be talking about is this Elecfreaks Smart Home Kit. We found it on Amazon, and the Smart Science Kit that goes with it. The Smart Science Kit with these sensors comes in this box, and this is a tutorial or a wiki that shows you step by step how to write the code for each of these sensors and outputs. This home kit has 2 servos. Here it is on Amazon. Quite inexpensive just for the kit, for the house itself, not for the sensors. The sensors are another set, and that is called the Smart Sensor Kit, IoT kit. Several things to know about this smart home material pack. In the first place, these parts do not stay together very well. So what we did was use hot glue to glue these parts together so they don't fall apart while you're trying to do your wiring. But then that necessitates having a lot of your wiring done before you put the house together, and then you have to be able to hold the wire out of the way, and here we're using Velcro to hold the bundled wire away from the servo arm on the door. Okay, we also used Velcro to hold the door on, these 2 white strips. That works better than Scotch tape, which is, in this case, which is what they call for, but that doesn't work very well on the door that has the hinge and the servo. Another problem we ran into is this servo connection is not, the screw they give you is not tight enough to hold this arm correctly. So I went back and added 2 flat washers to tighten up the connection between this blue bar. Now, there's more to this. We've got a servo on the front. This is supposed to be a pet feeding station, little box that'll tilt. For some reason, this breakout board does not have pin 0 down here in the wiring. So we're only given 2 pins, pin 1 and pin 2, that we can use in our code for our make code. There should be 3 pins available, but there are in fact only 2. There's no pin 0 on this breakout board. We found there's a way to use the other pins for servo. I'll explain that in another video, but for the time being, we've just got 2 servos, this one and the one on the door. And we're getting our wiring done. I also have in the code, you'll see in the description of this video, I'm going to download the code link, and then you can go ahead and click on that link and it will install your extensions and your code itself. It includes this OLED, which says goodbye when the door is closed, when there's a long distance, and it says welcome when when there's someone near the house. Also, I have it programmed so this LED light, which was not included, we had to wire our own LED light up, There's something about that also. I've got it so that it turns different colors when the door opens or closes. That's in the code. For a while, this LED NeoPixel was working on pin number 4. For some reason it quit. So I switched to pin number 9, and that works. There's also a pin 6 which does not work. Pin 9 works for this LED. And the instructions for that are in the code that I'll give you in the description of this video. Also, the second servo that comes with this kit does not have a good connection to this box. So I used a servo that looks like the one that was included, but in fact it has a different connector. And then I used one of these little, it's a Lego flower, Lego blossom, hot glued to hold this in place. We find it's best to do our programming with one USB to the microbit, and then our power, which is required to operate the servos, from another connector to this power port on this breakout board. So that's what this is. This is just a battery charger for a cell phone. We've also left the other half of the roof off until we finish our wiring. We're going to be connecting a motor here, which was not included in the kit. Elecfreaks makes a lot of additional parts for this system, and a motor is one with a fan on it, fan blade. We can use that. So we're going to do a lot of additional pieces and parts adding on here before we put the lid on. Also, once we had this roof on and glued on so it won't fall off, then I couldn't get at my screw for the door connector on the servo. So what I did was drilled a hole directly above this servo screw, right above that screw. And then I can insert a screwdriver down that hole and tighten that screw. I've got 2 washers on that screw. It shouldn't be necessary to tighten it anymore, but I'm just showing one way of handling that once you've got this half of the roof glued on. The other day we found this whole house fell apart when we were trying to work on it and do additional wiring, so that's the reason that we hot glued all of these connectors. So again, Elecfreaks makes a lot of parts. Here's an example of parts that they make. Here's the code. We've got other videos on our channel showing this house and another house by a different company. So there will be more about all this.